Hi, my name is Kayla. So the first thing, stage fright is a normal and hormonal response. It's your body viewing a threat. Typically, we have two ways we respond to that, which is fight or flight. Um, your body will react physically and psychologically to any imposed threat. Uh, in this case, I think it's us viewing a sense of judgment or failure if we aren't able to speak publicly and get our point across well. We're constantly worrying that we're not doing a good job or they're sitting there and judging us. Uh, Typically, when I am exposed to something that causes anxiety, I tend to lean more towards the flight side. I want to run away, I want to escape it. But I work really hard on facing those fears, and I'm really stubborn, so I typically want to stand and deal with it, even though every fiber of my being wants to run away. Um, I feel weak if I let my anxiety win, and I worked really hard on being comfortable with being uncomfortable over the last few years. I don't think that we typically grow when we stay inside our tiny little box of comfort. I think we have to have friction to really grow as a human being. Some ways that I can feel my body handle anxiety personally is I don't sleep. I get insomnia for weeks at a time. It tends to make me grumpy. I'm not really sure if it's the lack of sleep or the anxiety, but probably a mixture of both of them combined. I lose focus. I can't keep my thoughts in a regular pattern. I am distracted by everything, or I turn to the opposite spectrum and I become extremely obsessive where I get tunnel vision and everything that's important kind of fades away and I'm only focused on this one issue, um, which isn't really helpful for a balanced lifestyle. I also can get grumpy. I fidget. My heart's racing. Right now, it's even racing. I can feel my lungs, my airway starts to constrict. Um, that's typically how my body handles anxiety. I know that we all handle it differently, so that's just my personal experience. Why can't we get eliminate anxiety completely and why we shouldn't want to? Personally, I don't think we can because it's a chemical response in our bodies and it keeps us safe. Like if we don't have any fear and we don't have any anxiety, we're not going to not just jump off of that ledge or not just drive 100 miles per hour down the freeway. We have to have some kind of reasonable response to keep us safe. Also, I know that a lot of really good public speakers take that nervous energy and they're able to channel it so that their speeches are engaging. That energy just feeds through the audience. Um, I also think for me, it drives me to succeed. If there's no fear of failure, I don't really have anything pushing me. I'll just become complacent. And in complacency, we don't learn anything. We're not pushing ourselves to grow or to be successful. So I do think that anxiety actually helps us become successful as people. Three of the tips that I found helpful, I actually found four of them helpful, but the top three ones would be clearly organizing my ideas, adapting my language to the oral mode, and practice. The fourth one that I also thought was super important is preparation. I think preparation for anything is important. First, I think clearly organizing my ideas will help me focus because that's one of my issues is not being able to focus. So if I can clearly organize them, it'll help combat that anxiety. Um, Second is adapting my language to the oral mode. So if I can take away the thought of my audience being like an audience and I can make them into actual people I'm just having a conversation or a dialogue with, I think that will be super helpful. When I train jiu-jitsu and I do competitions, I have to not view my opponents as like a competitor and rather a person on the mat that I'm training with. So if we can take that power that we give to them away and just make them into everyday people, it can help combat that anxiety. The third one is practice. Like the more practice you get, the more confident you are in any aspect of life. I always tell my children, I have 7 of them, so there's a lot. I always tell them practice makes better. Now, we may never be perfect or reach the standard that we're aiming for, but we can always get better. And if we're failing, then that's another step towards succeeding. If we're practicing, that's just another step towards succeeding. So I think those are important. Overall, I'm grateful for this class and learning these methods to help me cope with anxiety. So thank you, and I wish you all well.